Well, good morning and welcome to the press review today on the 25th of August 2022. My name is Albert Kananda and I'm joined by
Alina Fipiri.
As usual, we have the Russian newspaper as well as the Daily Times newspaper. So we are going to assess the happenings pertaining to what the papers have carried. And to begin with the Russian newspaper, on the front page, there are two stories, and one of it being China to write off 5.5 billion kwacha Malawi debt. Partly the story says Malawi will have 5.5 billion kwacha non-interest rate loan owed to China written off as part of China's response and commitment to foster stronger economic ties with the African continent. The news has excited Treasury and economic commentators who say they will help the country to address immediate needs. Well, we have been forgiven.
We have been forgiven. I think that's the better way to put it.
Yeah.
So, but then how do you think that now will help us as Malawi? Maybe in terms of using that money, maybe in development projects.
I think this will be better if we have some other strategies in place, like we were planning to give back the money. So if the plans were there, that means the money is there. So that's when we can put the money into other development activities. But then if we had no plans to repay the money, that means we are stuck and we can't be celebrating about the
since I think the Minister of Finance also stated that the money that they were planning to pay back, this money, they are going to use it in other projects. So I think there has to be now transparency, and also they need to be held accountable to see how this money is going to be used, because it can just go into people's pockets to say they've been forgiven. But then I think there has to be that kind of transparency to say this is the 5.5 billion that were forgiven by the government of China, and this is how it has been used. Yeah,
and it would be sad to note that the money which we were supposed to pay China, after China has forgiven us, we have swindled the money, as we always do.
As we always do.
Yeah, as we always do, because definitely there are some people who are eyeing on that money so that they can, siphon the money. But then there has to be transparency and accountability, as you've rightly put it.
Yeah. All right, here on the front page of the Daily Times, we have court protects board members. Partly, the story says the High Court yesterday delivered a landmark verdict outlawing the tendency by government of removing people from parastatal board positions without giving them any reasons. Delivering a judgment in a case in which former ESCOM chairperson Chokani Muhango was challenging his removal from the position, Supreme Court of Appeal Judge Dinswayo Madisi, who heard the matter as a High Court judge, has ordered government to remove that provision from its contracts to parastatal board members.
Well, I feel like I'm not a law expert, but then I feel like the Constitution, contradicts itself. You know, there are some laws that that would actually give you a mandate to do something, and then there are some laws that counterattack those particular laws. So I feel like there is always contradiction in terms of laws.
Yeah, I mean, because if someone removes this person, let's say, I'm sure it's the president who does this. So if the president removes these people from parastable boards to say you're no longer allowed to work here, you are fired, in short, to say it that way. But then there is like a section 43 subsection 2 of the Constitution, which says before you remove that person from the position, give them reasons why you're removing them. But then
and the reasons have to be valid.
Yes, they need to be valid. But here you see that they are just being removed without even being told reasons to say you did this and this is why we are removing you, if it's valid or not.
And looking at the way our civil service operates, you know, there is always political witch hunting. You know, when another administration is ushered in office, definitely those who were affiliated to other parties, that the previous ruling party, they are going to be fired. So the laws were enacted to protect such individuals and such from such acts. Now they are saying that they will not be compensated as the law stipulates. I don't know, but then I think people will suffer.
Yes.
Yeah, because
the point that you've raised about now political will, something like that. Yesterday there is this chairperson of African Parliamentary Forum, but then it's on illicit debts and also taxes, financial flows, I should say. So she said that sometimes it's better to dismantle the politics itself, like in those parties. Because the moment you dismantle that, it's you give a room to whoever you appoint, to say members of parliament, to say they should be making laws in parliament. They'll be making laws that will be good for the nation, not for them to be serving you. But because that's one of the challenges that she pointed out, to say sometimes we as members of parliament, we fail to make laws that will benefit the citizens, because we are serving our masters, we are serving our bosses. Because for you to get in there, if you are independent, it's very hard. So you go for a certain political party, do your campaign and win. In the end, you're supposed to serve your boss because he's your boss. So I think she pointed out that maybe if we were to dismantle these political parties, so that even members of parliament should be making laws that will benefit the citizens.
You know, our country, Malawi, is driven by politics. You know, there is always politics in each and everything we do. Looking at the agriculture sector, there is politics. You know, ADMAC recently, the board members were failing to fire Chipiko, who procured a vehicle, you know, they were failing to fire him because he belongs to Malawi Congress Party. And so they were saying Ndiwatu, you know. So the Ndiwatu thing and Siwatu thing is that's what is killing Malawi. You know, that time we were saying DPP was removed from power due to because of Siwatu syndrome, you know. They were saying this person Siwatu, so he doesn't have the right to get a position in the civil service. Yet the person he's competent enough, he can deliver. So that's what is even killing the Tones Alliance right now, you know.
This is the problem here in the country, misallocation of human resource. We tend to put someone in a position that they are not competent. They don't deserve to be in that kind of position. Find someone who is competent enough, someone who can deliver the work. But then I think the issue of now praise, to say sort of compensation.
Compensations.
You
Thank
I
you.
need to help you back. such things. This is what is killing Malawi.
Yeah, we have a lot of people working in the civil service. They're in top positions, but they are not competent. We have recently seen issues that need to be addressed by the president, Lazarus Chakwera, but then the president himself is failing to address the issues because he knows that once I speak bad about this person, my members of the political party, they're going to go against me, so I should just remain quiet. And that's what is killing the nation. Now we are saying the Tones Alliance lacks proper decision making because there are people who are not competent in those positions.
It's not all of them.
Yeah, it's not all of them. There are some who are competent.
Everyone
now.
has a side of to say I do better in these kind of area. If maybe we were to take time and look at that, criticize, analyze, say this person is fit for this position, I think in that way we can move ahead, we can move forward.
All right, still on the front page of the Nation newspaper, there is another story which says 30 cities fewer cholera as death toll hits 58, and that's of course the headline. Partly the story says Malawi's commercial capital Luntha, once dubbed the cleanest city in Africa, is now the epicenter of cholera as a day barely passes without registering a case. Since the outbreak in March this year, the commercial city has cumulatively registered 500 cases in 21 days. And Kadabe, which reported its first case 2 weeks ago, registered 349 cases with 11 days.
This is very concerning. Also, the second word I should say. Or number 2, what you reading? Yes, we're supposed to get that, but then we are still on the waiting list because they are giving these vaccines depending on how much you're demanding. So Malawi, the information that I have is that we are at the bottom list, so we'll have to wait. But the PR for Ministry of Health said within 6 months. So you can see it's a long time. This is killing people. The cholera is killing people. You even see that Luntha, the cleanest.
It was dubbed the cleanest city in Africa.
In Africa, imagine.
And that's too big,
But then I think people should just continue observing their hygienic habits. Because if we say we need to wait for the vaccines, and then we just behave anyhow, it will put our lives at risk. So it's a responsibility of people themselves as well.
Yeah, that also brings us to the issue of our city councils,
Exactly.
We rely on them to keep our cities clean. And looking at the way Lilongwe City looks at the moment, you would wonder that do we have the city council and there is a commission as well as the mayor?
And it's always fun that you see Lilongwe being as clean as ever when there's something, whether there's a conference, a summit, delegates from international, they are coming in. So you wonder, what kind of a game are we doing? Because they're supposed to do that at least every day. Even you go in the market, there are those people who collect the fees for everyone who operates in that market. You find that litters everywhere, bins, you find the bin maybe is outside the market. Are you telling me that someone has to come inside from the market and then go out of the market and then...
And you don't even remember the last time the vehicles from the city council came to pick the litters in the bin. So
because fuels again.
No, well, we lack seriousness as a country. It doesn't make sense to clean the city because we are receiving visitors from other countries. And then after they stay in Malawi for 2-3 months, we go back to our roots.
If they can manage to be sending those people to be going in the markets and collect those fees, what's stopping them from sending the same people of that kind
to collect
the market?
Yeah.
Why? Anyway,
All right.
another story here says ignore power tariff hike plea. That's the headline. Partly the story says a joint parliamentary committee has advised Malawi Energy Regulatory Authority MERA to ignore applications from Electricity Supply Corporation of Malawi ESCOM and Electricity Generation Company IGENCO that electricity tariffs should be hiked by 99 and 36% respectively. ESCOM, together with its Breakaway Power Market Limited, applied that the tariffs be increased from the current 104 kwacha per kilowatt hour to 207 kwacha per kilowatt hour, and that the hike be spread over a period of 4 years.
Well, we're already living in the toughest times of our lives. Looking at the proposal by ESCOM and IGENCO, after analyzing it, you see that yes, the companies they're saying the truth that there was devaluation of kwacha, with the economic turmoil recently in Africa as well as in the whole world. Electricity tariffs need to be hiked, but then looking at the toughest times we are facing in Malawi,
it's unwise.
It's unwise to
then for there was this story in the weekend. I think it's Weekend Times. The Parliamentary Committee on Natural Resources had this investigation with on ESCOM. So it was found that ESCOM lied to us on prices that they buy their electricity. They were telling us they buy it 100 and something kwacha, but then it's 59 kwacha. So you look at why did they lie, and why having these proposals to have a tariff hike. Even IGENCO was complaining to say ESCOM does not pay it has ngongole there. So I mean, I wouldn't blame IGENCO for withholding, maybe to say no, we are not going to give you the power.
Looking at the issue, it leaves so much to be desired. Why did ESCOM lie to us in the first place? And does there belong a relationship, a strong relationship between ESCOM and IGENCO? Because it seems like the two are just throwing the ball to each other, there is no that working relationship between IGENCO and ESCOM. So that's what is milking the whole issue of blackouts.
There is a report on that. But then the Minister of Energy
has kept it under the carpet.
Why? We need to know what's in there.
And that's why I'm saying there is so much to be desired.
It's more of like a blame game now. ESCOM, IGENCO. But then I think that report can tell more. Can sort out these issues.
So the Minister of Energy, Ibrahim Madola, is keeping it under wraps. We need the report. As Malawians, we need the report. We need to know what's in the report, so that we can make decisions based on that. It's not hard for us to admit that, things are tough now. Please, ESCOM, hike the tariffs. IGENCO, hike the prices. But then we need to know. Our questions need to be addressed first before we make a decision.
Why is it so hard for these people in this government to just release certain reports? I mean, they always keep it,
under the carpet. And the report tends not to be released anymore.
Do you have even hope that reforms report will come?
No. And we don't even know if the president still has the report.
He has it, I'm sure, because it was delivered to him. I mean, where will it go?
Yeah, it's possible that they threw it away. We need to read it. It's no longer important. So we don't even have hope that the president is going to release that report. But then the report is necessary.
They're really important, because the Malawians can just it's a thing of now their thoughts. So maybe this is is what's happening, this is what happened.
And despite not releasing the report, it seems like there has not been any action taken, by the president as well as some of the ruling elites up there. So it raises questions from the general public that why are you keeping the report under the carpet, and why are you not doing anything concerning reforms? Should we say maybe the reforms we've seen during this period are the ones which were stated in that report? Because we have seen.
We haven't seen it. So as for me, I wouldn't even comment and say okay.
Yeah, why we are concluding that there hasn't been any action taken is that when they are bringing some reforms in the civil service right now, they are telling us that we have brought these measures emanating from the economic turmoil we have currently. So it doesn't seem like the report suggested so. They could have been telling us, due to the report we received from the vice president and his team, we have proposed this. So,
I mean, anyway.
All right, MCP wins towards amid voter apathy, and that's of course the headline. Partly the story says Malawi Congress Party has won 2 of the 3 wards contesting in the Tuesday local government by-elections that registered a 32% voter turnout in Chitiba, Karonga and Balaka districts. Well, what might be the possible factor of the voter apathy? What might be the possible factor? Because it looks like since the court-sanctioned presidential elections, there has been voter apathy. From that time, in all the by-elections MEC has facilitated, there has been voter apathy. So what might be the possible factor? Does it mean that people have lost trust in these politicians? Because
maybe what I can say is the moment that people were going for presidential election, it wasn't necessarily that they were going there to say we want to vote for this one. They needed change.
Yeah.
They just needed a change in government. And whatever happened in those elections, people also hope to say, even if we go for like these to the polls and choose who we want, there's always that kind of politics itself to say you vote for this one, but then the count will turn out to be something different. So people, I can say they've lost hope, and also maybe they can't see much of things happening in the country of what maybe they were expecting. So they feel like it's not even important to go for vote to vote. I mean, what change will it bring?
Yeah, and 32%. That's too little.
Yes.
We were expecting MEG to say, there was 52%, now this sends a signal to the Malawi Electoral Commission as well, to the country at large, that we need to do something. Because there might be 22% in the tripartite elections, 2025 tripartite elections. So if we are not doing anything on this issue, I'm telling you, we are going to be disappointed.
Exactly. So they just need to do something. Maybe even do national awareness, something. Okay, the Ministry of National Unity should also come in. I mean, no offense, but I think it has been somehow like quiet. But then this is now the time where they can also come in to say, okay, they need to bring people together, make us understand, to say, okay, we need to be going to vote, something like that. Because if this continues, we might end up having people like you can just count using your finger to say 1, 2, 3.
The problem is, even when the Minister of Civic Education goes on the ground to preach the importance of voting, people will not listen, because the Minister of Unity himself does politics, he belongs to the Tones Alliance. So people will just will be like, he has just come to brainwash us so that we should go again and vote for the Tones Alliance.
I remember the time he was stormed.
Yeah, if you've noted, each and every time a minister speaks to the public, he doesn't forget to mention about the president. You will hear Mr. Gazago saying, under the dynamic leadership of Dr. President, Dr. Lazarus Chakwera.
Yes.
And
of course, that's something that we can't tell them to say stop, don't do that, because if they are in there, it's somehow a sort of way of praising the president,
but for appointing
it's
them.
Not supposed to be said anyway. You need to say, okay, at this place I can praise the president.
Especially in the Ministry of civic education and national unity. He talks to the people who belong to various political parties. So once he mentions Chakwera, the story will change. People will be like, he's speaking under the Tones Alliance, not under the Malawi leadership.
And for the Minister of National Unity, people will be like, he was once with us. He once belonged to us. But then he's now in government. He changed to say he's doing his own thing. But something needs to be done. People need to go for voting. Because if we don't vote, we won't see changes that we're looking for.
Recently we had a program on Chidzulo, on Luntha television, Chidzulo. There was a topic we brought that if today was the day for voting for a president, who would you vote for? So people were saying, no, I would not vote. I would not go for polling, because I don't see a president currently.
There has to be something there's something that needs to be done as soon as possible. I mean, we are getting near the 2025 election. Very soon. I mean, this might be 22, but as soon as we get to 2023, 2024, we are done, and then we're going to the polls.
All right.
You may take the last one before we move on to the business section.
All right. There is another interesting story appearing on the 4th page of the Nation newspaper, and the headline says, UNIMA professor faults IMF and World Bank. Partly the story leads University of Malawi economics professor Ronald Mangani has backed calls for Africa to reform the global debt architecture for being one of the favors creditors at the expense of debtors. He said this in Lilongwe yesterday in his keynote address at the opening of the 3-day African Conference on Debt and Development, organized by African Forum and Network on Debt and Development, AfroDat.
I mean, you see that African countries, let's say every government, it goes into debts, they will go and borrow money. But you see that developing countries are the ones who suffer the most because of the interest that they give them. So I think whatever you say is right. There has to be some sort of change in the way that these governments borrow the money.
There needs to be change. That's a sure thing. There needs to be change because IMF and the World Bank, they have been blamed for playing tactics to get money from Africans. So I think if we can instill the change which has been proposed, things will be changed.
Alright, I'll just take one here from the business section. It says export earnings down by 11.8%. Partly says earnings from various exports declined by 11.8% to 149.5 billion in the first quarter of the 2022-2023 financial year from 169.5 billion kwacha last year. This means that the country was able to generate about $130 million at the current rate from exports during the period.
Well, another blow, and one of the stories concerning business in the Russian newspaper says economic gender gap narrows, says report, and that's of course the headline. Partly the story says women's economic participation in Malawi has improved over the past year, with data showing the country has moved 16 places up the radar, according to the World Economic Forum report.
And here the back page of the sports news, we have Queen's unrest. Partly the story says Netball Association of Malawi NAM officials were taken unawares yesterday after Malawi national netball team players threatened to boycott today's 2023 Africa Netball World Cup Group B qualifier against Zambia in Pretoria, South Africa. The Queens are demanding unpaid external allowances amounting to over 720,000 kwacha per player. The players were uncompromising as they surrendered their training kit to team manager Chauncey Montali soon after crushing Kenya 72-31 on Tuesday.
Definitely something has to be done,
720,000 per person.
Yeah, that's a huge amount of money.
What is it with this kind of challenges to say to
why do we Malawiize each and everything? Even sports we Malawiize. Players boycott. They were taught to go for training, and then they choose to boycott. So that's bad. Something needs to be done.
Exactly.
All right. On arts and culture, Matse Charity Foundation established, and that's of course the headline. Partly the story says Matse Foundation has been established as a charity in honor of fallen hip-hop artist Martin Matse Nkata. It has emerged.
That's a very good development there, seeing that a dream which he started, something that will benefit pupils in schools, has now started to operate.
Alright, that also wraps up today's press review. You've been with me, Helbert Kadanda, and
Alina Perry.
Good morning.